It's more the propaganda mill. Maddow has a huge following. I don't know why. She's dumb as hell. I was always wrong. It doesn't matter. The anti-American forces, and they pretend they're the pro-American forces, against us. And then they claim out of one side of their mouth that the founders are the problem, and then out of the other side of their mouth that they're the real progeny of the founders of the country. This has gone on long enough.
This is where freedom rings.
If you believe in America, if you believe in the Constitution empowers us. It's a new day. America's back. America's back, and America's going to get strong again. We're going to defend America, and we're going to defend our interests.
Liberty's voice, Levin TV.
Hello, America. I'm Mark Levin, and this is Levin TV. Welcome. I want to explain why it's important to be on the battlefield of ideas and to win, and at a minimum, engage. There's two big radical left-wing books coming out. One by a woman who is very well known on social media, particularly Facebook, Meta, whatever the hell you want to call it. And she announced her book, which comes out about a week after my book, and it's shot to number 2 on Amazon.com. I've yet to get to number 2 on Amazon.com. Rachel Maddow has announced she has a book coming out in mid-October, shot to number 2 on Amazon immediately. Now, what's interesting about these two books, obviously I don't have them, I haven't read them, but their descriptions on Amazon is that they are attacking you. They're attacking the founding. They're twisting the founding to claim it supports their radical left ideology. One of the books talks about the threat of dictatorship and fascism from you. Maddow's book talks about a similar thing, but says after World War II, conservatives and Nazis were conspiring, according to the description, to try and Nazify parts of America. I don't know where the hell they're getting this stuff from, but isn't it important that we lay the foundation for what the hell's going on in this country? We not allow the left and their publishers to do this to us? It's one of the reasons I wrote this. The Democrat Party hates America. They're not going to know what the hell to do about this. This book is 400 pages long. It is chapter and verse of what this party is all about. It's got hundreds of endnotes for anybody who wants to check out the facts or challenge the facts. And it goes through, like Sherman through Atlanta, the Democrat Party, and it eviscerates them. It eviscerates their history. It eviscerates their ideology, which has changed over time. It eviscerates the people who lead it. And compare that to what the founders really sought in this country. And I explain what they're doing to the country. Now you said, Mark, I already know this. You don't know all of it. I didn't know all of it when I started this project. I literally told the publisher this is going to be the shortest book I ever write. It's the longest book I've ever written. It's not even close. It's 30,000 words longer than any book I've ever written. It's a third longer than American Marxism. And it's easy to read. My wife says it reads like a novel. It does, because I work my way through. Boom, boom, boom. Everything isn't historically chronological. I mean, I have to take pauses to discuss brainwashing and eugenics and all these other things. But it is critical that our ideas, our truth get out there, because these leftists have huge platforms. They have NBC and ABC and CBS. I don't have them. I don't even want them, but we don't have them. They have the New York Times, the Washington Post. We don't have them. We have a relatively small and growing, independent, truthful media. I won't even call it conservative media. Truthful media. But they far outnumber us. So it takes you and me on radio, on Life, Liberty, and Levin, and here on Blaze, on Levin TV, to acquire the knowledge, to get the book, to spread the knowledge, to spread the word. And how do we do it? By mouth. We're an army of tens of millions while we still last. I understand they've conquered the culture. That's one of the things I talk about in the book. But if their books, I'm just being honest, guys, I'm just telling the truth, are going to soar to the top, and the left is going to eat them up and digest it, and they're going to push it out into the culture, and we're here very limited and myopic, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Now, we have Amazon that has ordered tens of thousands of copies of my book. They're already discounting it 38%. If we get the book up into the top 5, they will discount it more. This is the lead up to the release on September 19th. I know it's summertime. I know people don't want to be bothered with this stuff. They want to read happy books and so forth, but not on the left. Those people are geared up every minute of the day. They don't care if it's summer, winter. They don't care what the hell it is. They wake up every morning. They go to bed late at night with revolution on their minds. That's okay. I wake up every morning and go to bed late at night with freedom on my mind. And that's what it took to write this book. You think these bags under my eye, I'm just being honest, can't cover it up with makeup. You think I was born with these things? No, I earned them. I earned them. So this isn't a plea. I am not on bended knee. I am telling you we must engage these people. And you must engage them on ideas. Mark, enough of the ideas. Ideas! Marxism is an idea. Fascism is an idea. It's the battle of ideas. People are persuaded by socialism and Marxism. Why? Because they never produce what they say they're going to produce. They produce horror. They produce death. They produce impoverishment. But the promises are endless. If only you would give up more liberty. If only you would give up private property. If only you would do what we tell you to do. If only we could tell that guy to shut up and knock him off the air. If only we could have free college for everybody. If only we could have family leave. If only we had open borders so we could get people in here that will do the jobs that nobody else will do. If only everybody had a right to health care. And oh, that sounds good. Now you know what all this means. Liberty takes some explanation, not to those who don't have it, but to those who do. In most countries in the world, you don't get up in the morning, what shall I do today? I don't know. Or I have a job, I got to get there. It doesn't work that way. Most countries in the world, they're fending to survive. And even in advanced so-called societies like China, you have to watch what you say, where you say it, when you say it, or you're disappeared. What happened to the former premier of China, that older fellow? He's gone. He used to have all the power in the world. What did they do? Obviously, they shot him in the back of the head and they put him in a ditch. Where's the foreign minister of China today? He used to be the ambassador to the United States from communist China. Well, now he's out of the group, out of the Politburo. What happened to him? What do you think happened to him? He's disappeared. There's no law and order there. And so when I start out my book, it's a funny thing. I started to write the book and I said, let me look at what Freedom House has to say. What's Freedom House? It's this nonprofit independent organization, sort of left of center, certainly not right of center, left of center, but does a pretty good job when it comes to these regimes like Russia and China and so forth. Does a very poor job when it comes to the United States. So I fixed that. They put out a huge report on tyranny in Russia and China and how they create these impressions of democracy and all these things they do, and they explain it and they rate them. So I took that and I applied it to the United States. I took it. It's a significant part of Chapter 1 called Authoritarianism and the Democrat Party. It's frightening. It's frightening, the similarities. We are definitely on the road to totalitarianism. And so when you have these other books coming out in September, in October, those are the big months to sell books leading up to Christmas. What do you think's going on? It's more the propaganda mill. Maddow has a huge following. I don't know why. She's dumb as hell. I was always wrong. It doesn't matter. The anti-American forces, and they pretend they're the pro-American forces, against us. And same with this other woman. who is apparently a Facebook star. And they're talking about how to save democracy, how to promote democracy and liberty and individualism and everything else, because you're the problem, our views are the problem, and then they claim out of one side of their mouth that the founders are the problem, and then out of the other side of their mouth that they're the real progeny of the founders of the country. This has gone on long enough. It's gone on in colleges and universities. It's now going on in government-run public schools. It goes on in the media. It goes on in entertainment, whether it's plays or movies or everything else. These people wrap themselves in democracy. They wrap themselves in individualism, and they get away with it because they control the culture. We have no control over the culture. And so we need to push back. We have to claw our way back. We have to fight our way back. The Republican Party is not the answer. It's not. I'll give you a perfect example why. They're fighting on Capitol Hill right now whether or not they should support a special counsel to investigate Biden, or even whether they should have an impeachment inquiry on Joe Biden. This is the most corrupt president in American history. It's not even close. It's not. Who else? Who else? Teapot Dome? No. The corruption under Ulysses S. Grant, he wasn't involved. But no. This is the president of the United States and his family with foreign monies, millions and millions coming in. Money that is laundered to try and conceal it. IRS agents who are prevented from investigating it. FBI agents who are prevented from investigating it. A media that is the Praetorian Guard of this administration and every Democrat administration. And I get into that. So if I am not going to talk about this, I don't mean at a surface level like so many hosts, radio, TV, and elsewhere, even books, that they don't even write. I am telling you that we need to push back. This is the most comprehensive book ever written to expose the Democrat Party right up to today. Ever. Ever. How do I know? Because I read them. That's how I know. That's all I do. The Democrat Party hates America. There was a discussion about this title. Is it too provocative? I don't know. Was American Marxism too provocative? Liberty and tyranny, where we believe in liberty and their tyranny, was that too provocative? Unfreedom of the press, was that too provocative? That's the problem. When you call a spade, you're provocative. Now, they can call you Nazis. They can call you extremist MAGA. They can call you white supremacists, even those of you who aren't white. They can say whatever they want. Neo-Nazis, Klansmen, it goes on and on and on. Whatever you do, don't say the Democrat Party hates America. So I said, that's the title. Now, I know what that means. That title means that there are even conservative organizations that are going to shy away from this because they pretend to be, bipartisan. Well, that's pretty gutless. And there will be bookstores that keep them in the boxes in the back or don't put the book in the front. There will be complaints by the left to boycott it or lobby it. It started with Target, and we put that to rest as fast as we could within 24 hours. I wasn't going to put up with that. But you can be sure when you go to Costco to purchase the book, they'll all be turned over. They'll all be covered by other stacks. I got it. But if you want to read the book, you can get the book. And so I'm asking you, if you want to participate in this battle, the battle is on September 19th. But you don't prepare for the battle on the day of the battle. You prepare for the battle before the battle. And I'm going to be pushing off very, very hard. I'm going to do everything I can. I'm even going to book signings, where I hope I see many of you. But quite frankly, we have to have significant security these days. Significant. For me, it's okay. I'm sick and tired of being pushed around and threatened and bullied and all the rest. Not that they ever are successful at that, but we're not going to put up with it. This is our country, and I say, my wife and I discuss this all the time. What about our kids and our grandkids? What the hell kind of country are they going to inherit here? where boys aren't boys and girls aren't girls, and if a young kid is a tomboy, then immediately they take out the surgeon's knife. That is sick. That's sick. Abortion on demand. Many of you might support abortion, whatever that means. But not abortion on demand right up to the end. You know what that is? That's a sick form of eugenics. That's what that is. Same Democrat Party pushing for the same thing. That's not Roe v. Wade. No free nation on the face of the earth kills its children in the womb a week before birth. None, except this one. Except America. They don't do it in France. They don't do it in Britain. They don't do it in Germany. They do it in the United States. It's called choice. No, it's called the Democrat Party wanting power. I'll give you a footnote on that. I discuss it here. The most reliable demographic group and most significant for the Democrat Party, it's not African Americans. It's not. It's not Jewish Americans. It's not. You know what it is? Young, single women. Young, unmarried women who support abortion at the most extremist level, not everyone, obviously, but as a group, more than any other group. Blacks don't. Hispanics don't. Married women don't. Women with children don't. That demographic, which affects the vote in the suburbs, as well as the inner city, is the demographic the Democrat Party is playing to. Why? Because they vote in astronomical numbers. And they believe that's why the Republicans didn't have the midterm success that they were expecting to have. That's what they believe. And it's a significant number in the population. That's why they take the position they do on abortion. It's about power. They don't care about babies. They don't care about women. They don't care about any of that stuff. They won't even define a woman. If they cared about women, they wouldn't be destroying girls and women's sports, now would they? Care about women? 50 years ago, it was anti-black racism. Today, it's anti-white racism. It's whatever it is. Power, baby. Power. It's all that matters. And if it means switching a position, genuflecting, they will do it. Like they are now, embracing Marxism. And so it is important that we are successful when it comes to the debate over ideas. It is important that we are successful in passing the word along from our family to our friends, to our neighbors, to our coworkers. It is important that we, quietly, in our churches and synagogues and mosques or anywhere else, explain to the people who may not understand or even engage in debate and explain what the problem is, these forces of Marxism, and who specifically is responsible for it. The Democrat Party. Have you noticed, whether it's critical race theory or sexualizing children in elementary school or having pornography in public school libraries, whatever the agenda is, have you noticed the Democrat Party is the home of those movements? Can you name more than one or two Democrats who speak out against critical race theory? No, you can't. Can you name more than one or two Democrats who speak out against sexualizing our children in elementary school? No, you can't. Can you name more than one or two Democrats nationally who oppose pornography in our public school libraries, our elementary school libraries? No, you can't. No, you can't. You have Democrats who walked out of a hearing of a young woman who testified the other week about transgendering. She was a tomboy. And even with her parents okay, they surgically changed her genitalia. And they chemically changed her puberty cycle. They destroyed her like she's some kind of a bad experiment. You wouldn't do this to a guinea pig. And she testified that she's trying to take back her life rejecting the male persona and trying to get back to being a female, a girl. And you know what she said? I'm telling you, it's very upsetting. You know what she said? She said, I'm a monster. I'm a monster. Nobody wants to be with me. 19 years old. That's what she said. The fact that there's all this science out there and all these experts out there who are saying children go through this sort of thing. They don't think boy, girl. They don't identify boy, girl. Some do, some don't. You got to let them mature and grow through it. I mean, I know a young kid who used to use an easy-bake oven because he liked to make the cupcakes that came out of it. That was me. I didn't know girl, boy, whatever the hell it was. I just knew there was a light bulb in the thing. You fill in this little thing, this little container. It comes through, you ice it, and you eat it. That's all I knew. By the way, I haven't changed much. That's all I want, same thing. So what would they have said of me? The little girls that like to play with, they're used to G.I. Joe dolls or the equivalent thereof. Does that mean you change them physically? No. And who are making these decisions? The government? Teachers are part of the government. I'm sorry, there are some great teachers, but not enough by far, or we wouldn't have these thug unions, these Democrat Party unions. So the incompetents who are supposed to be teaching our children the basics, which they're failing, are now the ones who are going to be involved in whether our children should retain their genitalia and their sex or not? Where does this expertise come from? Oh, we bring experts from outside. Oh, one of those deals. And of course, more and more, they don't want parents involved in these decisions. So as I explain in the book, Marx would be thrilled. The War on the Nuclear Family by the Democrat Party, that's one of the chapters. Marx said, destroy the nuclear family, as he would say, destroy religion. And he obnoxiously and cynically attacks the nuclear family. He says the nuclear family exists to exploit children. So children can continue the bourgeoisie, the social system that's in place, just like religion does. All these things must be destroyed. They're destroying the nuclear family. They've seized on this transgender movement. Transgender people, what is that, 1/1000th% of the population? Yeah, it's minuscule. But the Democrat Party and Joe Biden, they've seized on it to attack the nuclear family. This isn't a conspiracy, it's all there. So these are the things we need to learn. These are the things we need to understand. Franklin Roosevelt, I'm bouncing around so you get a feel for this. What did Franklin Roosevelt do for Black Americans? Do you know, Mr. Producer? Mr. Producer, do you know? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. We've talked about this. The Federal Housing Administration is probably the oldest program of the New Deal. It was adopted in the mid-1930s. I heard a liberal on the 5, Jessica Tarloff, say that, praise that program, how it made monies available for people to buy homes and so forth. Well, it did that, unless you were black. FDR put in that statute that black neighborhoods were exempt from the Federal Housing Administration loans. Neighborhoods surrounding black neighborhoods were exempt. So they used to make these maps and took out these red markers and would circle the exempt areas. That's where you got the phrase redlining from. Redlining comes directly out of the New Deal and Franklin Roosevelt. Want to hear more? Well, you're going to have to read the book. I can't do a whole show on it right now. But these are the things that we need to push back on. I'll give you another one. Maddow's going to talk about Nazism and conservatism after the war. How about we talk about Nazism in reality? Adolf Hitler talked about a book that was written by a Democrat politician and lawyer in the early 1900s, where he was promoting eugenics to get rid of idiots, imbeciles, his words, and so forth, and certain races. Because if you follow the progressive ideology, the Marxist ideology, again, it's all explained in the book, they're trying to create a more perfect society. A more perfect society. Now, for you and me, a more perfect society is a society that has the proper balance of liberty and law and order and government. And so, for them, a more perfect society is the perfection of humankind. God can't even perfect human beings. Christians believe people are born with original sin. What makes mankind think they can? Well, they can't. But if you're going to have a more perfect government with experts and so forth, what was very popular in the late 1800s, but particularly in 1910s, 1920s, into the 1930s, was the idea, if you're going to have a more perfect society, we can put in experts in the government and more centralized government control, but we need to thin the herd. You just can't have imbeciles, people who are mentally ill, this sort of thing, races that are considered, from a racist perspective, whenever they think, you can't have that and have this more perfect society. Hitler picked up on that. And we know the consequences of that. He wanted to create a perfect society too, so they blamed the Jews for everything. So how do you fix it? You kill them. You get them out of the way. And in Mein Kampf, this is all in the book, he points to this guy in his books, this American. He said, the Americans are way ahead of us. The Americans are way ahead of us, we Germans. And by name, he mentions the author and the book. What do you think of that? Woodrow Wilson was a leading eugenics promoter. He signed the bill in New Jersey when he was governor that promoted eugenics, including of black people. And as president of Princeton University, he was proud of the fact that not a single black person was admitted to Princeton. Not one. This is the information that needs to get out there. This is just a little icing on the cake on the on that little toy cake machine that I talked about, the Easy Bake Oven. This is a little icing on the cake that comes out of the Easy Bake Oven. Do we even have Easy Bake Ovens anymore? I don't know. They probably outlawed it because it uses an incandescent light bulb. But anyway, there's that. The censorship and brainwashing, that's typical of the Democrat Party. There's an entire chapter on that. The anti-black racism, I get into the anti-Semitism, which is absolutely unbelievable. And then the next chapter is the anti-white racism. They move from one to the other. I explain how and why they do that. And the anti-Semitism continues. When you look at the ranks of the Democrat Party and their surrogates and so forth, that never ends. But the war on America, the war on our founding principles, the war on our economic system is incredible. You're going to learn the names of individuals and things that they've written that have influenced the Democrat Party that you've never heard of before. Because if I don't tell you, honestly, who's going to tell you? You're going to see it on TV? No. You're going to hear it on talk radio? No. That's why I write these books. They have a term now called racist capitalism. Racist capitalism. And so the civil rights movement has moved from the civil rights movement to ensure that the laws of the country apply equally to everybody, the right to vote and so forth. So it's now switched from those issues, although they'll still mention them, voter suppression. But it switched from that to what I call now civil rights Marxism. What do these civil rights groups and their spokesmen talk about now? Equity, equality of outcomes. What do they push now? economic socialism, redistribution of wealth, reparations for people who were 4 or 5 generations away from slavery, people whose ancestors were never slaves, they're more recent migrants to the United States, massive redistribution of wealth. And also notice through it all, through all the riots in 2020, through all the monuments that are torn down, through all the speeches that were given, all the news accounts and so forth, what went untouched? The Democrat Party. If the Democrat Party was responsible for all of it, for the Civil War, defending slavery, segregation, 100 years later, Jim Crow, preventing people from voting. They opposed anti-lynching laws. FDR in 1940 had an anti-lynching law put on his desk, and he refused to sign it. Which caused Joe Louis, the great boxer, to vote for Wendell Willkie. He said, I can't vote for that man. I can't vote for that man. So all this is discussed in 1,000 more things. And we need to know these things. All the hard work's been done, America. All the time put into this has been done. All the weekends lost, all the nights lost, all the mornings lost. They're on me. They're on me. But I ask you this, are you prepared to become encumbered with this knowledge? So when this book comes out from this woman on Facebook accusing you of opposing democracy, she's a Democrat, or Maddow in October, another Democrat, accusing you of colluding with fascists or wanting to collude with fascists, are you going to be prepared to push back? You've got all the ammunition you need. The Democrat Party hates America. You can get it at Amazon.com. It's 38% off. If you go there right now, you can get it at Barnes & Noble's website, Walmart's website, Books A Million's website, yes, Target's website, all their sites, all their links. But we'd like to push up through the top 10 on Amazon too. So I know there's a pulse out there that there's an army of tens of millions of us. We're not going to sit for this. We're not going to sit for the lies anymore. We're going to tell the media, we're going to tell their activists, and we're going to tell the Democrat Party where to stick it. I'll see you next time on Levin TV.